Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are here and we're in my GTA garage, here in my garage. Today we're going to be looking at some of the best cars to race with in GTA. Of course, you guys seen GTA racing on this channel. It's kind of a thing we do a lot, and I'm pretty good at it. Don't want to be that guy that's like, wow, I'm fantastic at this. But watch some of the GTA racing that we do. So I feel like it'd be good to kind of go through a few of the cars that I really like to race in GTA and some of the ones I've had most success with. So this garage has a lot of those cars in it. And we got the BR8, we got the Krieger, we got the Itali GTO. We have the Emerus, we got the T20, got the Hotring Saber, or the Hotring Everon. So good amount of the cars that I win with are right there. I don't think we have anything else really down here. Yeah, not really. So these are kind of like the main cars. We mainly do supercars, sports cars, specifically the hot ring for sports cars and open wheel. We occasionally do a sports class, but I'm not going to go through the hassle of showing you guys that. So let's start with the main car. The number one car you guys will see on this channel when I race. Supercar racing, it's going to be the Krieger. This car is absolutely fantastic to drive. And let's just check it around the city a little bit here. This is kind of what we're going to do, just drive around, talk about each car for a minute or two. Benefactor Krieger, I believe this came out in like 2019. Actually, years before the real life version of this car came out. Of course, is the Mercedes AMG 1, which is actually my favorite car currently. Up there with the McLaren P1 and the McLaren Senna. Those are probably my three favorite supercars, hypercars, whatever. So I should do like a video talking about my favorite cars all time. That'd be kind of cool. But either way, this car is obviously based on that, which I think is cool because that features a real F1 engine in it, which of course Mercedes dominated F1 for a while, from 2014 to 2020, winning every championship, and they won constructors all the way to 2021. So, I mean, Mercedes has obviously dominated F1. Them and Red Bull have dominated F1 together since 2010. So, and if we want to talk specifically engine-wise, Mercedes has been in that conversation since 2009. So they've been killing it, but specifically their hybrid engine was the engine to have in Formula One for quite a while. I think Honda probably surpassed them by now, but that engine was the one to have. So to have that specifically in a car, I thought was absolutely amazing. So to have that in GTA version of that, I just think is super, super cool. I actually remember seeing the car thinking GTA before I seen like, or really knew all the stuff about it. I mean, I remember when it got announced, but it kind of took years for that car to come out. I think Mercedes announced it in like 2017. So, and they didn't really start selling people until 2021, 2022. But yeah, I believe it features their engine from 2016 season. But I mean, it's just brilliant. Specifically talking about the Krieger in GTA, racing-wise, is one of the cars to have. If you don't have a Krieger, you're not gonna really be competing in a lot of supercar races. It's very good on a lot of the tracks just because of the fact that it is a hybrid, so it will get you off the corners very, very well. And it does have a very good top speed. It is one of the faster overall supercars, so of course to have a little bit of electrical component to it. Because again, I think hybrids, very cool. I'm all for hybrid engines, not for electric engines. I think the hybrids again gets you the best of electrification, but also gets you the best of internal combustion engines, which combined is absolutely brilliant. So I just love racing this car, and of course, if you guys have seen any racing on the channel, you will know that this is my go-to car. It's had a lot of different designs over the years since I've owned it. Of course, it was silver for a very long time. This is an iconic Mercedes color. Um, Switched it to black for the stealth era. But we also had silver with a little bit of the pearlescent. So I was like, I want to keep the pearlescent. So I kind of went with a darker base, and that's where we're at now with our pearlescent. Keeping it with the Mercedes theme, we're going to go with the BR8. Now, the BR8 is the open wheel car in this game. And also, Mercedes are my favorite road cars. Formula One, it's not. Red Bull's my favorite team. But so it's kind of weird to like Mercedes road cars and at the same time every week be rooting against their F1 team. I mean, they're obviously one of the biggest rivals of Red Bull, and they have been for a while, and definitely for the whole time. I've been watching F1 since 2019. It's definitely been a lot of those two teams against each other, along with Ferrari in there. But this does have the Mercedes livery. It's kind of like, it was a little like their livery probably from, I don't know, it kind of got a 2020 vibe to it. I believe this car came out in 2020, so it would make sense of it at 2020, 2019 livery design too. I went with the silver. Again, I have switched it between black and silver, kind of like the Mercedes cars have for the last few seasons. This is the best open wheel car to drive in the game. I believe it's based off kind of like 2010. This is a specific year. I think it's 2009 and 2010 for Formula One. They had a lot of the similar look from about 2009 to 2013, but I think they really focused in on those years because those years didn't have the step down nose like you got in the later years. So I think that's really the years of it. But I would have a Red Bull livery, but the one they have in the game is a Red Bull test livery, which, I mean, the test livery looks cool in real life, but in this game it's kind of bad, which is unfortunate because I'd like to have that, but you know, we go with it here. Again, this car very, very quick for the open wheel cars. Again, if you don't have this open wheel car, you're not really gonna kill it in the class. You can pull up with the PR4 and do work, but this is just faster. The PR4 will turn in a little bit better. This thing's a little bit longer, but I mean, that car doesn't really compete with this. So if you're gonna get an open wheel car, make sure you get this. Alright, let's bring this back into our garage and go with what's next. I believe it's the Itali GTO, which is based off of some Ferrari. There's so many Ferraris. I can't keep track of Ferrari names, I'm be honest. This is based off of N Ferrari. I don't know which one. Hello, can I get into my car? Yes. This thing is awesome to drive. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but this thing is close to supercar speeds. Like, if you put this in a supercar class, it would not be far from the top. So, it's a solid car. I mean, the handling is a little bit more, it's a little bit more bouncy than the supercars and the open wheel cars. I think coming right from the BR8, that thing's just planted to the ground. So to drive this, it wants to go everywhere. But again, this thing races well, very quick. The best you can have in the sports car class. I definitely have enjoyed this one over the years. Kind of went with blue and then to pink were the two colors that I really remember this car having. I think I had black for a little bit for the stealth era, where all my cars were all black, but they were all matte black. But, I mean, this thing, again, it's quick. So, look how that thing grips the corner there. It does take a corner well, I will say that. Once it gets up to speed, oh boy, I didn't turn fast enough. What a car. I think I killed that person in their SUV, that's unfortunate. Alright, let's see what we got up next to show off for all the lovely viewers. You're all lovely, fantastic viewers. Appreciate everybody showing up every day. Alright, up next is this. It's the Progen Emerus, based off the McLaren Senna. And the McLaren Senna is very cool. I got to see one of the first McLaren Sennas that were in America. Actually, I think it was the first ones in America. The car show that I went to. That was pretty cool, because the McLaren Senna, oh my god, what a car. Now in this game, this is highly rated within the class of supercars. It doesn't have a hybrid engine like the Krieger does, but this thing can get around a track. It's actually got a little bit higher top speed than the Krieger does, but it does lack a little bit more of the stability and the traction. So if you can harness this car in a race, you'll be in a fantastic spot. Now I tend to not pull it out in races unless it's one of our zero gas races where you have to pull out with something that is not the hybrid or electric vehicle, so the Krieger's obviously out of that. But it's one of those things that is quick, but you also have to realize that you're racing with people who don't know how to drive and aren't always taking it seriously, right? I mean, I pull up into a race and I expect to win, and I'm going to drive, as you would race in a serious manner. Most of the time, I'm not trying to crash people. I'm trying to pull up and win and be as fast as possible. That's just how it is. I mainly race in GTA at this point. So this car for me doesn't necessarily work because of the factors that, if you get hit, and we're going to stop here. Alright, I've been spun out. This is me getting back up to speed. Like, you're going to lose a little bit of time, someone's going to hit you, right? You make slight contact. Oh, I'm trying to get back on the track. Oh, I'm spinning. Oh, somebody else hit me. Right? This thing takes a little bit longer to accelerate. So the acceleration's longer, and you're more likely to get bumped out of the way, right? I mean, this thing will also slide a little bit more, spin a little bit more, so any contact will hurt you more. And if you do it right, this is a proper acceleration. Even that, I spun it a little bit. Let's see. There you go. That was smooth. Right back onto the power. But again, if you're in that frantic situation, I've been spun. I gotta make out time. You may not always think of it. So you just gotta be on it. But I do think in those scenarios, the Emerus maybe isn't the best. And it also does put yourself in a little bit more vulnerable position. I know if I'm racing somebody, I mean, look at that spin right there. That would not have happened probably with the Krieger. But if I'm racing somebody with an Emerus, I know that if the way I race somebody with an Emerus will change a little bit. And also, it doesn't give me anything to go up against like a Devastate. If a Devastate hits you, you're cooked, right? Like, And the Krieger will get tossed by a Devastate, but this thing gets absolutely launched. And the thing about this car, again, if I'm racing it, I know if I just push you a little bit in the corner, right? Just give you a little bit of a tap, this thing is likely to crash or slide. And I don't want to crash somebody, but I will make them slide out of the way. So when you pull up with an Emerus, it does put yourself a little bit more of a vulnerable position. Next up, we're only going to show this car for a second. This is a classic. It is the Trojan T20. All-time classic car in GTA at this point. Launched in 2015. At the time, it was the fastest, the greatest, and the most expensive supercar in the game. Where it's based on the McLaren P1, part of the all-time goated hypercar, supercar class of cars that we got in the early 2010s. Every like 10 years, it seems that there's a class of cars that comes out. Those are the defining supercars of that decade. And that decade had the McLaren P1, the Ferrari LaFerrari, and the Porsche 918. So those cars really defined that time. They were the first like look into hybrid supercars. Not much of a hybrid engine in those cars compared to what you may see from a hybrid supercar 10 years later. Those are definitely the beginning of it. They didn't really run on the engines that long on the batteries, but they were super, super cool at the time, and the McLaren P1 is my favorite of the three. So the T20, I loved racing this car, and the game definitely was kind of sad when it fell out of being the goated car. And this car, for me, I've kind of had almost the same design. It's one of the few that I haven't really ever changed. I used to have all my cars orange, so this car kind of had started out as gold. If you watch the first ever episode of the GTA Online race playlist, it was gold, and then it did switch to orange at some point. We had orange and like a gasoline green on the door, and then one time I kind of said, all right, let's clean this up a little bit. So we went with a matte orange instead of a shiny orange. So we have a matte orange, a matte black. So this is kind of the design this car will always have. And no matter what, it's always going to be my main garage. Basically, the way I've played GTA forever has been whatever the like newest DLC, whatever the newest sort of location has been my main garage. So currently it's the agency that's been my main garage since that came out years ago at this point. So the T20 will always be part of that. The final car, of course, we have the Hotring. So I think the most used Hotring on the channel is the Hotring Everon. It's my favorite of the three to race. I definitely like the Hotring Hellfire because it does look like the NASCAR car of tomorrow, which is something I always like the design of. But the Hotring Everon just races a little bit better in most scenarios. Of course, based on a NASCAR truck. This is based on the, I believe it's 2023 Toyota Tundra. Maybe 22. Probably kept the same design for those 2 years, if not. But it's based on the Toyota Tundra race truck that they have in NASCAR. So a lot of the liveries on the cars are the same, and schemes, whatever you want to call them, are the same from the Hotring Sabre, and of course they stay the same on the Hotring Hellfire. So I got a few different ones. Typically, actually, the device truck, the number 54 truck, is the one you see the most on the channel. I believe this was free with the GTA Plus 1 month, so I ended up with 3 different trucks. But, yeah. It's just fun to race, and I think that the way it grips the track, the way it handles speed-wise, it's also very, very good. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. The hot rings are all kind of the same, but I mean, traction-wise, they're gonna be a little different. Speed-wise, they're a little different, but the Hotring Everon is the go-to one for me. So with that, we're gonna end it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.